Hello, I'm going to do the Leo reading, and this is a timeless reading, so this is for whenever you feel drawn to hear this message. Also, this may or may not resonate with you. If it does, take what does. If it does not, leave what does not. All right, so we're going to get some tarot, we're going to get some clarifiers, and close out with an oracle. This is the Green Witch Tarot. All right, we have the Star. We have the Page of Wands, Nature, which is the Devil card. We have the Nine of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Cups. We have the Knight of Swords. We have Harvest 20, which is Judgment. We have the Six of Swords. We have the Seven of Cups. All right, so for overall energies, we have the Seven of Cups, and she's kind of sitting there thinking about something. And then we have the Siddhi, which these are these little fairies, and they're kind of helping her along, whispering in her ear, kind of giving her opinions, thoughts. We've got a beautiful butterfly right here that's kind of flying around her, that's kind of evolved from its cocoon. And Seven of Cups is having a lot of choices, thinking about what it is that you want to do. So there may be a situation that you are thinking about. And I feel like it has to do with this Knight of Cups and this Knight of Swords. It's like you're thinking about something, you're trying to decide what you want to do, and then all of a sudden you go for it. So for current energies, we have the Star, we have the Page of Wands, we have Nature, which is the Devil, and then we have the Nine of Pentacles. So I feel like this is something that Page of Wands is about communication. It's either email, text, phone call, it's reaching out, it's connecting with somebody. I feel like there's somebody that you want to talk to, or there's somebody that you want to connect with, there's somebody that you want to have a conversation with, and you're feeling hopeful about it, but I feel like you also have your doubts about it. You're like, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's why it's taking you some time to do this, because you're like, I don't know, do I or don't I? Sometimes we have those, people were like, I don't know, should I or shouldn't I? And then you'll pick up the phone, or you'll start to write a text, and then you're like, I can't hit the send button, and then you'll delete it all, and you're like, no, I don't want to right now. But then it keeps staying on your mind, and like, yeah, I do want to, and then I don't want to, and I feel like you keep going back and forth. And it's almost like, do you want to just do it just to see what happens? And then I feel like for future energies, we have the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Swords, Harvest, which is, like I said before, the Judgment card, and then Six of Swords. I feel like you do reach out. I feel like you do take it, because he's handing, it's like he's handing this chalice to, which is the next card, this Knight of Swords, that is like taking the chalice to the person, like that is like, okay, here I come. You're like, hey, here, I need to talk to you. And then this person's like, yeah, I'll deliver the message for you. Reaching out, that you finally decide that you want to reach out, that you want to do it. But I feel that you feel that you're glad that you did. You're almost like, or maybe it's something that you want to do. Maybe it's about putting your resume out there. Maybe it's about looking for a new job or an opportunity, or looking into doing something, and you're like going back and forth, and you're like, should I or shouldn't I? And then you're like, yes, I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to see what happens. And sometimes it's the thinking about it beforehand that makes us more, that is worse than the actual doing the activity. Like if you have to speak in front of a bunch of people, you're like, oh my gosh. And then when you do it, you're like, oh, it wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. Because he has a smile on his face. He's very happy. He's very content. I feel like he feels satisfied that he made this garden, and he has all these rewards from having this garden and all this hard work that he did. He has all of these rewards from this. And I feel like that's you, is feeling like, it took me a while to do this, put out my resume, or go for this job, or start this business, or speak to this person. It's taking me a while to do this, but I'm so glad I did. I feel calmer. The Six of Swords is going from those choppy waters there to this calmer water, and then getting to the land and being like, oh, I'm so glad that's over. I'm so glad that's over. I feel like that's kind of your energy, is like, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad this is over. I'm so glad I did it, that it wasn't as bad as what I was thinking. All right, so we have the Hangman, and that is about taking a step back and looking at things from a different perspective. All right, and then we have the King of Cups, which is about just, letting things flow, letting things happen, not worrying about it, at least feeling good that you took some action to do something. And then the Seven of Swords, and that is feeling like it could be confronting someone that you maybe had a false perception of. Sometimes we kind of judge someone, and then when we get to know them, we're like, oh, they really weren't who I thought they were. They really weren't who I was thinking they were. I was thinking they were one way, but they're really not. So maybe this person, or maybe it's just judging the situation, thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be really horrible. I'm going to feel trapped. I'm going to be in this trap if I do this situation. But yet there's still something within me that says that I want to do this. And then once you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I did it. Look at that, Six of Wands, success and victory, feeling happy, feeling good. So glad that you did it. So glad. Maybe it was a perception about somebody, and then you're able to talk to them and you're like, yeah, I really judged that person wrong. I really thought that person, I really was not, I was going off of what other people said, or I going off one impression, and that when I got to know this person, they're really not who I thought they were. And I'm so happy that I figured that out and I learned who they are. Okay. We have the Nine of Wands. So I feel like it's just, maybe right now you're doing this back and forth, and you're like, I don't know, should I or shouldn't I, should I or shouldn't I? And then you finally get to the point where you're like, yep, it's time for me to reach out. I'm just hanging in there until you feel confident about what it is that you want to do. And maybe this whole situation is exhausting. It's like you made yourself tired for nothing, Maybe it's like that worry, or that, like I said, sometimes the thought of doing it beforehand is worse than the actual action. All right, judgment, opening your eyes, awakening, renewal, revival, okay? Seeing that, hey, I need to reach out and get this done. Getting this off your back, tens of completions, like, oh, I'm so glad I did that, Calmer waters, listening to that inner voice. I feel like when I turned that over, it was like, oh, if I had just listened to myself in the beginning, I wouldn't have had to gone through this whole entire thing. I wouldn't have had to have gone through that whole thing. So we have, and then this is the next one. We have the moon, which represents Pisces. So I don't know if that represents anything for someone. For some reason, that word just came across my mind, Pisces. But the moon is also, I feel like right now you may not have that clarity about it. Like you're not really sure what it is that you want to do, because like this is the current energies. And so you're weighing things, going back and forth, looking at it from different perspectives. If I do it, this is how it's probably going to go. If I don't do it, this is probably how it's going to go. Kind of looking at those different perspectives. And I feel like you learn a lot from this. Like I was saying here with the High Priestess, like, oh my gosh, if I was feeling that inside, and if I had just listened to myself in the first place, and I had just done what it is that I wanted to do, I wouldn't have had to go through all of this. And that moving on from the future, it's like, okay, if I have that feeling about something, then I need to look into that. I need to acknowledge that. I need to work that through. So it's kind of like a learning and a growing lesson here for yourself, which I think is a good thing. And, being open to those experiences and those learning situations, opening your eyes to new things. And that things aren't as overwhelming as you were thinking they were. Brown bear spirit, take time out. Take time out to almost savor this experience and think about what it is that you've gone through in this process. And think about, was I really feeling that inside? What was my gut telling me? If, thinking about this whole process and what you've gone through, and kind of seeing, hey, instead of holding back, instead of waiting until it gets to this point of feeling like maybe overwhelmed, or feeling, having this back and forth, feeling overwhelmed from all of these options and all of these thoughts going in your head, is to take care of things quicker, just kind of a different approach to if something like this happens in the future. I feel like it's almost like looking at the whole experience and saying, hey, you know, I've learned a lot from this and seeing how things happened. All right. Thank you so much for watching. As always, stay positive, stay safe, and I will see you next time.